I thought we would do just a really simple Q&A because that's all I could come up with. I asked you on Instagram and Facebook if you had any questions. A couple of you did, and I sprinkled a few in that I've been asked in the past before. I hope this isn't offensive, but why do you only wear black? It's not offensive at all. I started this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I have not looked back. There's a lot of things wrapped up in it. You know, my friends who I deeply love, like I've got a real tight-knit group around me that I feel so grateful to God. But many of them really pushed back when I started just wearing all black. And really, it's just one type of shirt that I have a bunch of. And one of them had said, you know, Melissa, clothing is an expression of who you are. And what are you expressing? It's not what she meant, but it's what I took was like, exactly. This is who I am. It's who I am. Like, I don't take pleasure in picking out clothes. I don't really take pleasure in wearing clothes. It actually makes my heart really happy when I look at my closet and it's just all black. Like, as far as the eye can see, back down into the closet, it's black shirts and one black dress. And it makes me so happy. And it is an expression of who I am. Favorite memory with your husband? Well, if we dismiss like wedding, which that was definitely neither one of our favorite memories, that's a whole story, which I probably will tell at some point on here. Besides the birth of our girls, I was actually asking him because I'm like, I don't know, what is, like, if I had to pick out one memory, what would it be? I'm not exactly sure. And so I knew he would know the answer, but he's like, I don't know. And as I was listening to him talk, just more of the everyday with one another. We have a really playful relationship, I would say. He brings out in me playfulness. I am the opposite of playful. Here at home, I'm very quiet. I don't talk a lot. I don't express a lot. I'm a little boring. Unless you get on really niche topics, I don't have a whole lot to say. I don't know, I'm just kind of a drag. And he is so fun and silly, and he brings that out in me. And so I would say, you know, just being able to be with him around the house and to just be playful is super fun. And he had said we had driven up to watch the sunset because I want to be a sunset person. If you watched last week, you know what I'm talking about. And so we had made our way up to the peaks, which are just some mountains here in our local area. And on the way back down, he said, you really make me think. Like you push me to think in ways that I just wouldn't think, or to think deeper than I would naturally think. And so I hope that is true from me to him, you know, that where he brings out the playfulness in me, that I'm able to bring out in him maybe a deeper type of thinking than he would naturally want to go, maybe. Have you gone to seminary? No, I have not even gone to college. So this really bothered me maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It bothers me 0% now, like none. I think mostly because Andy, my ministry partner, got her PhD 2 years ago, and her husband had gotten his PhD, I don't know, 2 years before that. So he has been a professor in a college. And my dream job would be to be a professor, like to teach at the college level, until I got just a little peek into Andy Boy, which is Andy's husband. Yes, his name is Andy too. He started teaching at the college level. And so with the little bit of insight that I have, which he loves his job and he loves doing it, but as I listen, I'm like, oh, I could not sit on a committee. I do not like jumping through hoops that feel just like, well, this is what we do. I don't do that well. I don't want to teach a class that I don't want to teach. You know, I'm used to sort of running my own business, having had a business in the past, and I'm like, oh, actually, I don't think I'd like doing that at all. I don't think I could stick with the rules. There are so many ways for us to learn from really skilled teachers, university professors, and really when I looked at my own motivation, besides wanting to be a professor, I wanted to be legitimate. For me, that is not a good enough reason to spend $60,000, $80,000, $90,000, whatever it would be for a 4-year master's and PhD so that I sound smart. Nope. No seminary. What Bible translation do you use? For my base translation, which is like if I'm going to be verse mapping or something like that, my base verse, what I memorize in, what I initially work off of typically is the NIV. There is no great reason for that besides it's what I grew up with. And so I have the most, it's the most comfortable. It's what I've memorized lots of verses in. Now, I never am looking at just one translation. So I'm always looking at least 3 others: Amplified, ESV, NLT, and the Message. The Message is not a translation. And then we could go into like, well, NIV is can be said that it's a paraphrase. Bloggity blog, blog, blog. I love to talk about translations. So if that's something that would interest you and you would want to go down that road with me, let me know below in the comments and I'll be happy to talk more about translations. Most people don't want to hear about it though, but those are sort of my staples, the ones that I am almost daily in, all 5 of those. I want to share my writing online, but I'm too self-conscious. Any tips? So I'm not a writer, but I'm going to interpret that question to just be, you want to creatively express yourself and put that for other people to see online. That comes with so much. I can't talk for you, but it comes with, for me, it comes with so much insecurity / overthinking / judgment on myself, afraid of being judged by others, all of that stuff. My advice would be start writing and putting it up. That is my advice. We can have really good motives for doing what I'm doing or for writing or for creating in any sort of way. Really good, holy motives. Expression of the gifts that God has given us to hopefully, we hope, benefit those who are listening or reading or watching or, whatever the form it may take. There's also the flip side to that, and it's like questions that I ask myself is, am I just a narcissist who is just wanting attention? Is that what this is? And if it's that, well, then I most certainly don't want to do it. In the past, I've gotten really caught up with, if I think my motives are tainted, I'm just not going to do it at all. And I actually don't think that's the way to go. I think the way that I've been able to move through this mix of motives, that some are good and some are bad, some are selfish and some are, I think, God honoring. The only way that I've worked that out is by actually practicing doing it. And what I've discovered over the last maybe 3 or 4 years is that the more that I practice it by just stepping out and doing it, the more that will raise up to the surface that is able to then be kind of sloughed off the top. So much so that Andy and I were talking about Bible Lab, which is a Bible study that we hope will launch March of 2023. And we were talking about it, trying to figure out exactly, workbook form, video form, how will it actually be birthed out, And we got to the end of the conversation and Andy said something that I can't even remember what she said, but it's like I wanted to fall on the floor with such gratitude because in all this time, Bible Lab has been brewing for maybe 1.5 years or 2 years, I don't know. And even as we get closer to hopefully something launching, it had not crossed my mind how many would do the study, if the study would be successful, whatever successful means. It had not crossed my mind. Actually, what did cross my mind, and I think this is what's helpful, it crossed my mind subconsciously, not a full thought, but my assumption was it's not going to be successful. It's not gonna hit a ton of women. It's going to be a lot of work for probably not a whole lot of grand and glorious fruits. Like, that's just the thing that I'm assuming. I've always been an achiever, either achieving or doing nothing. Those are the two places that I've toggled from all my life. With ministry, it has most certainly had years where it is just achieving, and bigger is better, crashed and burned, trying to do bigger and better. And I'm feeling a whole lot of internal growth in this season. Not external growth, but internal growth, of feeling really deeply satisfied with a really small ministry. So much fun creating Bible Lab. This week was so fun. We got somewhat of kind of a framework for the actual Bible study, like some steps done. And it's like it fills me up. And to do this with my friends, and I don't know, I'm just really enjoying it. Not tonight having to do this, I'm not enjoying this. I don't have the words, but most days I'm just really, really enjoying it. And it's not that I'm completely unaware of numbers. That's not true, but they just don't mean that much. So all of that rambling to say, start creating. And as you start creating, it'll bring out stuff in you. It'll bring out people pleasing, the fear of being judged by others. What are your friends gonna say? What are family gonna say? Who do you think you are? All of those things, and work through it. And the only way to work through it is by actually creating, not by sitting and waiting for it to be fixed so that then one day you can create. That's not true. You work it out and you figure it out as you create. That's where the work is. It's actually in the creating. I think this might be the worst video I've ever done. I feel so flat, like I've got no energy. So we're just gonna leave that here with you, and I apologize if you've gotten all the way here. I mean, we're really friends. See you next week.